Luke Michael Howard, clinical hypnotist and owner of Luke Hypnosis today. I want to talk to you a little bit about elements and how they're effective in our lives and how they're effective in personal change. How having too much of any one element can be good, can be not so good, and how we can start to shift those elements and around our body, our neurology, spiritual body, whatever that is to you, to help manifest shifts and changes in your experience of the world. For the first thing I want to talk about, it's so important of these elements and the work that I do with people, I actually have it tattooed on my fingers. Fire and the sign for fire. Water, the sign for water. Earth, if you can see that, and the sign for earth. And air and the sign for air. And I'm pretty much using their meanings in the Hawaiian shamanistic art of huna. So here's the thing with fire. We all have all of these elements going through our body all of the time. However, we'll favour certain elements over other elements, and each element has an empowering side to it, a powerful side to it, a positive, if you will, and has a potentially negative downside to it as well. So fire, someone who identifies himself a lot with fire. Fire is good because when we look at elements, the number one element for shifting, for changing, is that of fire. It literally burns down limitations. Fire is linked to passion, is linked to energy, moving forward, empowerment, getting it done, no matter what the challenge is, coming ahead with fire. Very, very powerful, very, very great element to have inside your body and one to use. However, some of the downsides of fire can be quick to anger, overreacting. Physiologically, it can be things like heartburn or some physiological problems inside. So it can have its drawbacks as well. But it's about having the appropriate amount of fire for the right situation. The next one is water. Water is really, really powerful. Water is really, really powerful. It can start to move things, right? It can start to cool things down, shifting things from A to B in harmony. Water is really, really powerful, right? However, if you've got too much water in your body, however you define body, you can have situations where you're a little bit too passive at times. Perhaps you have things like water retention, how they show up in your body. Perhaps you start to feel the weight of the world on you and things can start to seemingly be a little bit heavy. Next one up is earth. Well, earth is good. It's defined by being grounded, right? Being in the moment. Your head's not in the sky like air, which we'll get to next. You're not burning down a forest like fire. You're steady, you're stable. These are reliable, good things. We all want loyalty. We all want earthy qualities. It's really good. However, if you've got too much earth in your life, too much of the earth element, one of the drawbacks is you lack uncertainty. You might think, well, I don't want uncertainty. Well, you do. All right, you want the right kind of uncertainty, because we want certainty, which means you wake up and you know there's this thing called gravity, that when you step out of your body, you've got the certainty that you're not going to float up to the ionosphere and disappear. All right, certainty that when you go up to a certain address and you open a door, it's your home, that there's a bed there, there's a couch, there's a TV, there's creature comforts. Comfort's important. Certainty that these things exist, right? That you've got two arms, and when you wake up tomorrow, you've still got two arms, and so forth. But too much certainty leads to being bored in life, to feeling unfulfilled. If you've got too much earth element, you can feel like it's the same day repeating itself over and over again. Although it's a kind of even keel, there's no high spots in your life, so things can become a bit boring, and you're not quite growing at the speed that you want. You're not quite getting enough juice out of life. Last one is air. Air is really important, and when I work with clients, the air element will be the element that I'll call upon first, because the air element is what starts people moving, right? You need air before you get anything. You need air to fan the flames to make the fire move. You need air to help the water move. Air is really important. So if you're lacking movement in your life, you're obese, you've got some physical ailments or injury, one of the first elements I'll call down is that of air, to allow people to start to shift physically, yes, but also mentally, also emotionally, also spiritually as well. They start to shift, they start to move in a direction, right? So air is really, really great for movement, very, very, and it's a nice, subtle, for want of a better word, element to bring in. But if you have too much air, we've all heard the term airhead. You have too much air, it's almost like you're spaced out. You're spaced out, you're kind of like spazzing out a little bit, you know, because you've got too much of the air element. You're not thinking clearly in concepts. You're not thinking ahead. You're just kind of spacing out. And although that can be effective and pleasurable at times, if you go around with your head in the clouds 100% of the time, like anything, too much of anything, too much of a good thing, it's going to cost you potential opportunities in your life. Making future plans. If you're always kind of air, although it moves, if you've got an air head, so to speak, or too much air in your body, you might physically, it may manifest itself in you're bloated. What is bloating? It's basically too much air trapped into your body. It doesn't feel good, and it also doesn't look good as well. So although it has its positives, it also has its drawbacks as well. So none of these elements are superior of the other. It depends how you use them, and that's the key. It's how you use them and not allowing them to use you, right? Allowing them to use you is ineffective. It means that you don't have the agency, you don't have the empowerment in your life. They're all going through, I've got heartburn, or I want to move, but I just feel very, very stuck. And certain elements are using you, but it's starting to use these elements in such a way that if you want to move forward, you call air forward. If you want to transform, you want to stand up for yourself, you want to get excited about something in your life, you've got that fire element. But if you need to be grounded, if you need to be level-headed, having some air element in your life. And also, if you just need to be in that flow state, just being in the flow state, the moving one with nature, bringing in some of that water element to help you. So oftentimes when I'm working with clients, I'm also thinking, as I'm observing them and we're working together unconsciously, unbeknownst to them sometimes, is kind of, all right, what element do they need? Well, the client's claiming to be stuck. Great, so I need to summon up the fire element to set a fire underneath them to get them to start moving and burning down their own limitations. But for some people to lead with fire can be too much. So I might have to come in with a bit of air element to come in, to start them shifting a couple of steps mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to move into that right direction before the fire can come down. But if they're really, really fiery all the time, the fire's using them up and they're not using it for positive things, then maybe we need to put a little bit of a little bit of earth element just to settle them down, to let them be more stable in their approach with the things that they do. So it's kind of like another way that I work with clients. Which is a fun way, but really, really powerful as well. Rather, because the problem that anyone comes in with is never the problem. Whether the client claims to have anxiety, chronic pain, an addiction of some kind, or deep sadness. Not saying they don't feel these things, I'm pretty much sure that they do. However, it's just a symptom of something underneath. And oftentimes, that symptom can be alleviated quite substantially by rebalancing their elements inside their body. Anyways, I hope you learned something from this video. I've been Luke Michael Howard, clinical hypnotist and owner of Luke Hypnosis, changing minds at the speed of light. Always believe.